What's up, guys? It's day 4. That's awesome. So how's it going? I'm still in Anaheim. I'm here at this thing called Podcast Movement. I spoke yesterday. I walked in to the guy who was speaking before me, and I was like, damn, this is a big room. Okie doke. And then I walked out so I could just kind of take a lap around the building to prep myself for this crowd. And then I went in and I just got up there. She was like, the woman announced me, and I'm like, let's just do it. Let's just do it. So I got up there and I spoke for about an hour straight without notes, without a slideshow, because everybody else had like slides and whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to wing it. So I talked to these people about, they want to know how to start a podcast, but it's the same thing whether you want to start a podcast, whether you want to be a successful songwriter, whether you want to open an amazing franchise of coffee shops. It's all the same. It's like you've got to start, you've got to get out of your own way, you've got to stop trying to be perfect, and you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. You got to keep putting things out there, trying stuff, keep reapproaching it. Like people say to me, I tried, and then they don't do it anymore. And then I ask them, well, what'd you try? I tried everything. It didn't work. Well, did you try everything, or did you try one thing that wasn't the right thing and you gave up? It's like, let's say you want to make a cake, and you're like, well, I tried, and I just gave up because I tried everything. It didn't work. And then somebody says to you, well, what'd you try? Well, I opened the oven door, and it wasn't hot. So I gave up. It's like, well, you have to turn it on first, right? So we have to be willing to keep working at it. People who are looking for cures for diseases, people who are out there trying to make stuff happen. If you were a person who was like on a journey and you wanted to like set sail for America, whatever it is, like you can't give up just because there's a storm, just because you went in the wrong direction. You gotta like go back to the map and figure out where you are. So we gotta stay in it. And day 4, it's an interesting one. It's all about setting up a co-write. And Sonnet just sent you guys an email with this video. Sonnet's awesome, by the way. So what does that mean, setting up a co-write? Why are we saying that? Well, this is really key, okay? The whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and that's just the way it always is. When you start working with someone else, so you can get more out of yourself because you have someone there, first of all, that keeps you accountable, because you're going to start to talk and write if someone's sitting right next to you. And then you're going to have an idea, and that person's going to be a sounding board, and they're going to comment, which is going to bring more ideas out of you, more ideas out of them. And together, you guys, the synergy, the together thing brings out the best in each person. Even if I've had co-writes where the other person in the end, when we finished the song, it turned out that like the other person's ideas didn't get in. But just because they were there, it helped me create whatever did wind up getting in. And it's not about making sure each person winds up with 50% of the lyric or 50% of the melody. It's what's best for the song, right? So we have to get our egos out of the way, and we have to show up for the co-write, because one of the main reasons people don't like to do co-writes is because they're afraid that when they're writing with someone else, they're going to seem stupid. Hi, Andrea. So they don't want to co-write, and I know that feeling, because I will tell you that every time I used to set a co-write, I would either cancel it. I'd be like, I'd rationalize it. I'd be like, something came up, and I just have to get that done. I have to get my taxes done, even though it's July, whatever, I'm making it up. But I would cancel things a lot, or I'd be on my way to do it, and I would want to cancel it. And then I would get there, and sure enough, magical things would happen, right? So why do we do that? It's because it puts us on the line, right? It demands that we show up, and it makes us uncomfortable, and that's good, okay? That's a good thing. Getting out of your comfort zone is like oxygen. At the end of the day, the truth is, if you want to have an amazing day, if you want to feel fulfilled, so fulfillment isn't necessarily ease and fun. Fulfillment is meaning, it's purpose, it's a sense of growth. So growth is like oxygen. So if you're growing at the end of every single day, even if it hurts, it's like going to the gym and the next day you are in pain. Like right now, my body hurts because yesterday I got up at like 5:30, drove to Anaheim, got up and spoke. And then the entire day I was on my feet. My phone died. I plugged it in like in a hallway. It died again. That's how on my feet I was the entire day. I was in meetings. I was talking to people. I had a meeting with Apple. How awesome is that? Because they are rallying behind my podcast, which is great. Woo. You guys should listen to my podcast, by the way, because it's free and it's like, I think it's pretty great. I love the guests who are on there. I think I'm doing a decent job. Apple's a fan of it, so that's good. So I met with Apple. I had a bunch of other meetings with other podcasters, and then anyway, today we're recording a live podcast, and I'm exhausted, and my body hurts, but it was so worth it, And I was in meetings yesterday where I was like a little out of my comfort zone. In fact, like, when I was sitting there with the guys from Apple, I was thinking like, I'm not saying it out loud, but I'm thinking like, I felt like I was with like the cool kid. When I was in 5th grade, this girl, Ashley Crone, she was the coolest kid in the school, okay? And she invited me to her, thanks Andrea, she likes my podcast, thanks. She invited me to her birthday party, and I said to her, I was like, I can't believe I'm here, I can't believe you invited me. And then we didn't talk after that. But I was uncomfortable. Sometimes we're uncomfortable, being with other people if we have this false sense that they're like somehow better than us. It's all not true. That's just ridiculous. Like, everybody is created in the image of God. Everyone's the same. Everyone's equal. It's just a matter of like what we think. I had Bobby Brown on my podcast, and she said beauty, it's not that you look beautiful, it's that you feel beautiful and then you look beautiful. I thought that was good. So I think that that's the same thing with this. It's not that you deserve, whatever that means, to be there because you're, you can scientifically prove that you're exactly on the same plane as the other person in terms of talent. It's not like someone can measure that. It's that you feel that you deserve to be there. And then you own it. You own your seat. You take your seat at that table and you sit there and you decide that whatever you're going to say is worth it. And then you guys bounce ideas off each other and you make a co-write. And that's how I felt yesterday. I'm like sitting with this team at Apple, and everybody who's here, every podcaster, every speaker, everyone wanted to like meet with them because they really hold the keys in a lot of ways to featuring your stuff. And they were like, we're gonna have dinner with you. And the guy's like, and I'm sitting there at dinner and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, it was me and them, there was no one else. And you feel that feeling of like, oh, do I deserve it? Do I belong here? That's such a, like, it's not a helpful thought, and everyone has it, but you just have to like do it anyway. So I want you guys to set up a co-write. I would like if you set up the co-write with someone in this class, especially if you don't know them, because it really flexes the muscle of getting out of your comfort zone, and you guys can have co-writes wherever you are. Again, be resourceful. So let's say you live in Utah and the other person lives in Ireland. So open up your Skype and find a time that works for both of your time zones and do a co-write. Now, before you do that co-write, the reason I want you to pick someone in this group is because you're both coming in with the same end game, right? So everybody is on track. So you're going to use that co-write to create a song for licensing, and hopefully each one of you has been ruminating over it, doing some research. You're really directing your energy, because the whole idea here, a lot of people work really hard and they don't work really smart. Like, if you run as fast as you can with all the passion in your heart and you're heading east looking for a sunset, not going to find it, right? So you can be working hard and doing the wrong stuff and nothing will happen. So it's a matter of hustle and being smart enough to reverse engineer something so that the energy you're expending gets you results. Because if you get results, you'll put in more energy, right? It's just the way that it is. So we're trying to show you what to do. It's not like we're saying, hey, here's a 21-day challenge, and now we leave you guys to your own devices and you just to come up with stuff. No, the whole reason why we have a course, the whole reason why we want to be with people for a whole year, if that's something that they're up to, because we love it, we want to give you direction over 21 days. We want to give you something, guidance. So we're hoping that if you set up a co-write with somebody else who's in this program, so they're already 4 days in thinking about licensing. Maybe they started looking at some shows, doing some research. Maybe they started to think about some themes. So that co-write is going to go further because everyone's on the same page. I used to have co-writes sometimes where literally people would show up, they'd be late, log in, kind of disgruntled. I'm a starving artist. We'd talk about their life for a while. It'd be like really like annoying, kind of not going anywhere. And they'd be like, okay, what do you want to write about? I just broke up with, I just feel like crap. Let's just write about that. It's like, well, you can't just not know what you're doing and then hope that somehow you're going to get to the Empire State Building. It's like you need a map. You need to know where it is. What street is it on? So we need to have a direction. We need to have a sense of intention and direct, So set up a co-write. And then even if you're so uncomfortable about it, you don't feel like, you're going to have anything valuable to share, do it anyway, because you're going to be surprised. Because if somebody told me 10 years ago that on these particular co-writes, the days where I wanted to cancel, that song was going to wind up making $250,000, I'd be like, okay, well, it doesn't feel that way right now in my chest. It feels like I'm on my way to do something that I'm not cut out to do. And that's when good stuff happens. So just let it flow. Try it. At the end of the day, you know what you'll have? Even if you have a terrible song come out of it, you'll feel like you grew. Because when we step up and we do things that scare us, it really affects us. And I feel like one of the reasons why a lot of good things started happening for me is because when you flex the muscle in one part of your life, that starts to affect the rest of your life, because it's like the rising tide raises all the ships. So when you do something and you start to act a certain way and you start to step up and you start to make decisions not based on fear, it affects the way you act in the other parts of your life. So I think truly the name of the game, your legacy, really isn't the micro. It's not really like the product or the way that you spend that day. It's kind of like how you carve and sculpt yourself into the person you want to be. And the obstacle course you're doing that through happens to be like your particular family, your particular job, but it's all just a means to like help you become the best version of yourself. And so if you kind of look at it that way, then it's a matter of like, how can I not make choices out of fear? How can I treat people, the best? How can I be grateful? And then you wind up getting a lot of mileage out of whatever the pursuit is, because really the whole thing isn't really even about that particular pursuit. It's about you carving out to become the best of you. Does that make sense? So set up a co-write and show up for it and prepare beforehand so that the odds of you getting something decent out of it are great. And remember, we're going to start posting 9 of these real searches, okay? So what if you wrote a song and you followed the advice and you wrote it about a certain theme and you did some research and you really A-B'd what you were writing against what you hear in ads or TV or whatever you're aiming for, and you wrote and recorded an amazing song? That means you have the potential to get one of these in and signed and licensed, or you have the potential, because it's so good, that it could work for something else over the next year. And then maybe you join our access class and you pitch it for, that's like a series of ongoing opportunities. Or maybe you wind up signing with an agent and you're on your A game and you send in that song and you get signed. So we want you to walk away with something valuable. And if this is the recipe. Now you have to like apply yourself, right? That's the missing quotient. So set up a co-write. Stay in it. Don't lose your hustle, okay? Now, it's easy to start off being really motivated and then totally wipe out. That's going to be what we're going to watch for, right? So there's like 500 and something people right now in this challenge. I predict, just because of statistics, not because I know you guys, that most people will have like 90% of the people start in. We'll lose some people after week 1. We'll lose more people after week 2, because people lose their edge. That's just human nature. So don't assume that you're going to wait to be inspired every day and it's just going to come, and if it doesn't, you're just going to say, well, not inspired anymore. No one is, okay? You have to proactively go seek that out. You got to go get that inspiration. So whether it's watching something that makes you feel lit up, listening to music, taking a run, talking to someone that really invigorates you, maybe that's joining our course. Maybe that's just showing up for these videos. Maybe it's, I don't know what it is. But find that and make sure that's part of your routine. Just like you eat breakfast every day, you've got to eat inspiration because it doesn't just come. In fact, most people around you are so uninspired, just people you're going to meet, people you're going to walk by in the sidewalk. So that energy is going to like permeate everything. So we've got to seek it out. We've got to make it our responsibility to keep that flowing. And when we do, we're going to be able to stay in it. So let's not put our happiness and our inspiration quotient on whatever's outside. Let's make that our job to keep that running. And again, I think that flexing that muscle helps things around you. Like it helps your relationships. It helps everything, because in business, even when you walk into a meeting and you're lit up, that energy comes through your eyes. Everyone's excited. Everyone's ready to play. So these are the kinds of things it does. That's why I love my podcast, because I have people on in all different fields, you know, whether they're a designer or a screenwriter or a comedian or a sculptor. It's all the same hustle. It's just a different mechanism, right? So let's get in the game and stay in the game, get out of our comfort zone, get excited about being scared, because it helps us grow, and it's all for the cause of becoming the best you. If you just signed on, rewind, watch this video, and I'm rooting for you guys, and I'll see you soon.